Keep an eye out on L&T Finance Holdings. That's one of Ashwini's picks. The intraday chart should come up for you on the stock. Let's pull it up. That one, in fact, has seen a sharp uptick in the last few minutes. Volumes as well picking up on that front. Ashwini's call is, in fact, that stock looks good to go to around 158 rupees. Stop loss, though, very important, 146 rupees. But it's earnings season, so let's talk about one such company that came out with a set of numbers. That's Indian Metals and Ferroalloys, IMFA, as we call it. That reported rather weakish set of numbers. It was impacted by a couple of shutdowns that we saw in the past quarter. We're currently joined by the MD of the company, Mr. Panda, who joins us on the phone line. Hi, Mr. Panda. Thanks so much, sir, for joining in. Last quarter, well, it was a bit of a washout because of the shutdowns that we had. But give us a sense. What was the average prices, the realizations on ferrochrome? And what's the price as of now? And your analysis in terms of pricing going ahead?
Good morning, Nigel. Well, if you actually look at the numbers that we have reported for Q1, the devil sort of lies in the details, because what has happened is that yes, the production was affected to a little extent, and that did have an impact. But actually, if you look at prices, sequentially from Q4 to Q1, it's moved up by around 20% to roughly about 86,000 rupees per ton during the quarter, and that helped boost the EBITDA margins to almost 21%. But actually, what has sort of dragged down the numbers, besides the fact that we lost a little bit of production, is almost 35 crores mark-to-market provision on account of the sharp depreciation of the rupee. Now, ordinarily, that is something that would help us, because clearly with a significant portion of our output being exported, obviously rupee depreciation is good. Except it happened towards the end of the quarter, so we're taking a provision without actually reflecting the gain during the quarter. So just looking ahead at Q2, production is going to improve a little bit on account of the fact that the furnace, which was shut down for relining, etc., will be coming back most likely by the end of August. So output will increase during the ongoing quarter. Prices are more or less holding steady, come down a little bit, but all other things being equal, we will, get the benefit of the rupee depreciation in full during the quarter, ongoing quarter.
So, Mr. Panda, you said 86,000 was the price, right?
That's right, and currently, as you would be aware, benchmark prices have settled about 4 cents lower, which was quite positive, because initially the expectation was it might drop a little bit more than that. So at the moment, realizations are holding above 80,000 rupees a ton, and that gives fairly good margins.
So in that case, two-part question, Mr. Panda, because you said that the first quarter was impacted by a couple of strikes that took place in one of your plants, the Tirubali unit as well. So two-part question is, one, have all the agitations and all the worries settled out there? And secondly, in that regard, you have some capacity coming on, realignment that you just spoke about. What is your volume target for the remainder of this year?
Okay, so first of all, one clarification: it wasn't a strike; it was an agitation by outsiders with actually no connection to the area or the company. But be that as it may, it was. We have of course been in discussions and with the district administration and clarified our position in terms of what we are doing for CSR, etc. And there we actually have a stellar record. To get to your question about production guidance for the year, we have actually had to obviously tone down our output guidance. So for the year, we are looking at about 220 to 225,000 tons, and the production in Q1 was just short of about 47,000 tons. So that gives you a sort of idea about what we are expecting for the rest of the year, for the 3 quarters.
And the EBITDA per ton that you would expect, primarily because you said the realizations have improved. Also, there is some benefit that you'll get from the rupee. So what kind of EBITDA per ton are you working with?
See, that's a bit of a difficult question to answer, for the simple reason that if you look at the past 5 or 6 quarters, we have actually seen very sharp volatility, which is honestly not something that I have seen in the 25 years that I have been involved in the business. But broadly, prices, we're finally, I think, starting to see the price swings narrow. and of course the rupee depreciation comes into play in a positive manner. But what it looks like at the moment that we should be able to maintain a EBITDA margin of 20% or better.
So around 16,000 rupees on a per ton basis.
There and thereabouts, yes.
Okay, all right. I want to talk about business as well, sir. But the Odisha government, they had levied various fines on a lot of miners in Odisha. What was the fine that was levied on IMFA? And if you could tell us, do you expect that number to go up? Have you already paid that amount?
Well, this is a alleged excess mining,
yes.
Which has been initially levied on iron ore and manganese producers. Now, in as much as the chrome miners are concerned, this is something which has actually now been stayed by the revision tribunal of the Ministry of Mines.
Okay.
In as much, and in fact, that's something that we have actually mentioned in our stock exchange declarations.
Yeah.
So the amount which was claimed on IMFA, which has subsequently been stayed, is about 100 crores, 102 to be precise, if I recall correctly.
All right, Mr. Panda, hang in there. We're getting some visuals coming in. It's the Prime Minister.
But we have the management of IMFA with us. Sorry, Mr. Panda, that we had to keep you waiting. But we were talking about your business, sir. You were telling us that 100 crores odd is the fine that's been levied on you all. And that matter is in court. So let's keep that aside. Wanted to ask you, your current capacity is what, around 270,000?
Yes, the current capacity is 275,000 tons.
Okay.
And we initially had a guidance of roughly about 240 to odd thousand tons, which we have had to scale down in terms of the the disruption, the brief disruption.
Okay, all right. The reason I ask you that, Mr. Panda, is because I want to know whether or not you're looking at any any companies that could be on the block. I've heard various reports. A lot of companies are on the block in our country itself. Are you looking at any of them? Is there a possibility of some inorganic growth?
There certainly is the possibility of inorganic growth. As you would be aware, fortunately or unfortunately, quite a few companies in the sector are, have stressed balance sheets and are, undergoing liquidation provisions or under IBC. So we are looking at that. But as you would know, this is a sort of an ongoing process, and so we are, we're waiting and watching.
So could Ferroalloys Corporation or could Balasur be potential targets for you?
I would not like to comment on any specifics. That wouldn't be appropriate.
Absolutely.
But I would say that we have the advantage of not only being fully integrated, but a very strong balance sheet with a debt equity at the moment of 0.56. So that that really.
What's the exact debt on your books? What is the exact debt on your books?
The debt on the books now, long-term debt is about just short of 650. It's come down by more than 110 crores
and
as
working
compared
capital?
to last year. Working capital will be, I'm not sure of the exact number at the moment, but probably around 150 or so.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, Mr. Panda, for stopping by and giving us all those details. All the best for the remainder of this year. Well, on that note, slip into a short break.